Why in English can we say for snowflakes, but not for snows? Dogs, but not monies? And what's the difference between the two questions, how much and how many? And how do you know when to use them? Well, if you're learning English and you want to know, then today we're going to find out. Hi everyone, my name's Kristen and welcome to Koala Hugs. In this video, we're going to be talking about non-count nouns and count nouns. And by the end, you'll have a better idea of what they are and how they're used. By the way, if you're interested in learning more English or even French or useful tips to help you learn another language, then be sure to hit the notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Now, in order to explain the difference between how much and how many, we first need to dive into the topic that is nouns. So a noun is a person, place, thing, or quality or abstract idea. Look around the room that you're in right now. That room, for one, since it's a place, is a noun, but two, everything you see, every object, is also a noun. Whether it's your couch, your television, your sister, your dog, as well as concepts that you might be feeling or experiencing, like truth, happiness, sadness, and joy. There are several ways that we can classify nouns, but today we're going to be categorizing them into two, categories: non-count nouns and count nouns. And try saying that 10 times fast. Knowing the difference between non-count nouns and count nouns is very important because one, in English, we use both all the time, and two, there are different words and phrases that we'll use for count nouns than we do non-count nouns. So if you want to sound more like a native speaker, then it's really important to be able to use them both correctly. Okay, so count nouns are nouns that you can count. Easy, right? All right, so look around the room again and choose an object. Can you imagine more than one of that object? Can you count it? If so, it's a count noun. As an example, I've got this jar of seashells. It's got some other things in it, but it's mostly seashells. And well, I can count them. I can go one seashell, two seashells, three seashells, and so on and so on. And that tells me that the word seashell is a count noun. And I'm just gonna put this back. Seashells is a hard word. She sells seashells by the seashore. Also try to say that 10 times fast. Oof. Looking at some other examples, I can say 8 books, 2 cats, 1 shoe, 9 dinosaurs, because all count nouns have a singular and a plural version of the word. So I can say 1 book or I can say 10 books. Generally, nouns in English can be made plural by adding an S to the end of the word. Generally, mind you. There are some irregular nouns out there that have a different ending, but for the most part, you'll see an S. You can see this in things like a cat versus 4 cats. When using count nouns in the singular form, you must always make sure that you have some kind of article or determiner that goes before the count noun. And by determiner or article, I mean things like an indefinite article, like the words a and an, definite articles, like the word the, a number, or some other kind of determiner, like the words this, that, your, my, each, and some. So those are count nouns, but what are non-count nouns? Well, non-count nouns, which are also called mass nouns, are nouns that cannot be counted. Now there are some that are more obvious, like abstract concepts, like the word happiness. You know, I cannot say I have 4 happinesses. It's just weird and it doesn't make sense. But there are some that are less obvious, such as words like milk or furniture. I can say I drink milk and I have furniture, but I cannot say I drink milks and I have furnitures. That just doesn't work in English. Non-counts are generally groups or categories of similar objects, such as the following: types of food, like bread or cheese; liquids, like coffee; nature, like snow or rain; abstract ideas, like happiness; and categories or group names, like food and information. count nouns can be made plural, but non-count nouns cannot. So, if you said something like homeworks or informations, it sounds wrong to an English speaker. Also, count nouns can use numbers and indefinite articles. You know, the words a and an. But non-count nouns can never use these. So I can say, I have a cow, or I have 9 cows, but I can never say I drink 8 milks or I drink a milk. However, non-count nouns can use other determiners as well as the definite article the. But we don't use the if you're talking about something general. We only use it when we're talking about something specific. An example of this is if I was to say, in general, homework is hard. There, I'm talking about homework in the broad sense, all homework. So there, I don't need to use the word the. But if I was to say instead, the homework from last night was hard. There, I'm talking about a specific homework, and that is why I use the word the. Now, maybe you've heard somebody before say that I ate a piece of bread, or that they drank 3 cups of coffee. And now this can be really confusing because I just got done explaining that coffee and bread are non-count nouns, and therefore we can never use a or an with them, and we can definitely never use numbers. But while all this is true, there is a way around this rule, and that is by quantifying non-count nouns. Basically, there's a list of phrases that quantify things, and if you add them at the beginning in front of a non-count noun, then you can use the whole thing and treat it just like a count noun. You can add a number, you can use indefinite articles. So these phrases quantify it. Phrases like a cup of, a piece of, a bowl of, and a glass of. With these phrases, I can now say things like, I ate 4 pieces of fruit, or I gave him a bowl of ice cream. All right, so if you're trying to figure out whether or not a word is a non-count or a count noun, then I suggest first trying to see if you can imagine or picture more than one of that word. If that doesn't work, I also suggest trying to look up, see if there is a plural version of that word, if it exists or not. And finally, if all else fails, you can always do a quick Google search and just type in something like list of non-count foods in English. I think it's best to find some of the most commonly used words when speaking English and then figure out whether or not those are non-count nouns or count nouns and then memorize and study those. It's kind of like learning the gender of words in Spanish and in French. It's not always obvious to tell, and it's something you kind of just have to take the time to sit down and learn. Okay, so we've now covered the difference between the 2 types of nouns, but why does it sound wrong if I ask somebody, how many homework do you have? Or if I said, I see several lightnings in the sky. That's because we have several expressions that can only be used with non-count nouns and several expressions that only can be used with count nouns. And here's a list of them. We use words and phrases like several, a few, and many with count nouns. So you can say, I have several dogs, I know a few doctors, I have many ideas, and I own a great number of jackets. We then use the following words for non-count nouns. So I can say, I have information, I have a little bit of money, and there is a great deal of rain today. The words no, not any, some, and a lot of can be used with both non-count nouns and count nouns. We use the word many and the question how many for count nouns, whereas we use the word much and how much for non-count nouns. And this can be seen in the following 2 example questions. How much snow is there outside? And how many books did you read last year? An important thing to notice is that whenever you ask a question that starts with the phrase how many, the count noun you use after that will always be in its plural form. So I said, how many books did you read last year, not how many books did you read last year. Altogether, non-count nouns and count nouns can be confusing, but the more you practice trying to recognize them, the easier it will get. So, I hope this all has been helpful for you to start to see how to use them. And with that, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it interesting, you enjoyed it, you even learned something, then please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment, and I will be seeing you real soon. Bye!